not a great first half at all. Kind of a nothing half from both teams. They had probably the better chances. Started the second half a little bit better. Created a few. Had Ollie's header. A shot from Quinn from outside the box. Nathan had one at the top of the 18. But overall, not dangerous enough on the night. Not scary enough. Obviously, it's a positive to keep a clean sheet, as we've been leaking a lot of goals at home. But at the same time, we have to find a balance of, being a little bit more brave. I think our guys are certainly a little bit nervous at home to make mistakes, and that's not a way for us to play. And we mentioned that at halftime, and I thought the guys actually had a good response out of half. Had a good push. Again, we're difficult to play against on the night, but anytime you don't get 3 points at home, it's not acceptable.
What did you make of what they were man marking Jack and Danny, and was daring Leon to initiate through the middle? What did you make of that in the first half, and how did you guys try and adjust to that in the second half?
Yeah. I think you probably noticed in the first half it was basically our two center backs. Leon in the center a little bit in one level by himself, and then almost 7 guys, up against their back line, and you're not going to have any penetration in that way if there's not multiple levels to play through. So in the second half, we actually just dropped Leon between them and let our center backs go on the dribble. I thought we created a little bit more, and when we did that, we also had Ollie on the right come in, or if we went down the left, McGlynn came more central to create another level for us. So overall, again, they had a plan in place. We knew once you go cross midfield, they do like to go man to man and make it hard on you. They were organized. They're coming off conceding some goals at home, and I think they wanted to tighten things up. And to their credit, they were really hard to play against on the night. But again, at home, I think we have to be a little bit more brave. Again, it's a tough night, and a tie feels like a loss when we're at home. I think that's just the way it is. But coaching staff does try to put the positive twist on things and say we've kept some clean sheets now, consecutive games in 3 games, which is good. But we have to hit the back of the net, and that has to start on Saturday against Montreal before the international break.
To the point of the clean sheets, it's a complete 180 from where you guys were even the last home game.
Yeah.
To be able to have that solidified, those 7 halves in a row, again, like you said, you at least take that and build on that as the foundation?
I think our season, if you look at it, and again, it's not quite at the halfway point, but it's too extreme. We're not an extreme group, where we go on these runs where we score a ton of goals, but we're conceding a ton of goals. That's not us. And now we're not conceding, and we're not really creating a ton. We scored the 3 goals against New England, but let's be honest, they're down a man early in the game. So it's too extreme, and that's not really what the Philadelphia Union's kind of badge of consistency over the last 5-6 seasons now has gotten us where we are. I don't want to be a team that's runs hot and cold. That's really not how we're really designed. And when we run into these teams with some of these great attackers and we go in these end-to-end games, we're going to lose. That's the reality of things. So, important to keep the clean sheet, but now let's still look like us, and we know what we're capable of when we play from a lead and kind of go from there. So, we were close a couple times tonight. Jose's little play at the end, maybe if that bounces in, all of a sudden it feels a little bit better, and that breaks a little bit of what feels like a tough spell at home. But we got to create our own luck, and we have to regroup quickly and go again against Montreal.
This is not a new question, but the commonality of teams that frustrates you is a lot of them play with 3 at the back.
Mm-hmm.
How much does that sit in your mind, and what sorts of things do you try to do to break that down?
Yeah, we've talked about mirroring it and going 3 in the back ourselves, and kind of making the matchups a little bit clear. We could do a version of whether it looks like a 3-4-3, a 3. But actually a 5, basically 5 in the back, with a block of 3 with then 2 strikers to keep the 2 strikers intact. There's a lot of different things we talk about. The opposite side of that, I think for years, the diamond kind of gave teams a little bit of trouble as well. And now, maybe it's scouted more. You're seeing teams adjust and adapt to it and saying, go ahead, Philadelphia Union, you guys try to make the game a little bit, which I think Toronto did a little in the first half. And that isn't our strength. So we have to adapt and adjust for sure. Look, again, our margins, how many times have I said it, even when we're winning and going good, our margins are razor thin. And, when I talked with Julian today and you knew he'd be out, that hurts. Again, we don't have the luxury of just, stepping on the field and being able to beat teams. So little things like that matter. Our timing, our for lack of a better word, luck has been a little bit different this year, where in past years it's Jose's cross there goes in for an own goal. You know what I mean? and right now nothing's going in. So, we have to make our own luck. We have to get ourselves out of it. And hopefully we can, conclude this game against Montreal, put a lot into it, try to get all 3 points. Hopefully guys' focus will be here and not with different things, that the Copa America or the Euros or the Olympics. They're here, finish strong, and then we'll have to put a plan in place. And talk about formation change, we'll probably have to, just on the numbers that we have.
When you talk about formation changes, does this roster, even if it was at full strength, if you wanted to play with wingers, do you think you had the right people to do it if that was something you wanted to do?
We don't have wingers on the roster, really. We don't scout that. Are there guys that are capable of doing it? I think so. I still think we have some guys that have the work rate, the creativity in the attack, that it could suit them. So yeah, it's something we can still consider and do. And again, there's a unique way you can do it too, Jonathan. As you know, you could play with a winger on the right side, but maybe on the left he's a little more tucked in and looks a little bit like a 10. So we can adapt and adjust. We're going to have to. I think you guys know that. We've talked about this from preseason till now. Who's going to be here, who's going to not be here when we go into this stretch in the summer. So it's on us. We've known this is coming, and it's up to us to get ourselves out of it. But we haven't done any favors for ourselves. I think that's the reality of things. The frustrating part for me, and this is not a knock on the league at all, but it hasn't been a year where you sit there and you go, wow, we got played off the field. We weren't even close, and you tip your cap and you go, that was impressive. That's happened before in the past, but this year some of the games we're in them, but we're not doing that little bit extra to turn the luck our way. That's what hurts the most.
Jim, tonight, and I believe in Charlotte, I noticed that Gosdog and McGlynn were taking some of the corner pieces. I'm just curious about what's shifted in formation with Kai now switching on.
Yeah, look, Frank does a great job with the set pieces, and some of it's in-swinger, out-swinger, goalkeeping tendencies. He spends a lot of time analyzing and scouting, so and we've been really good on them, defending and attacking over the last 3 years. We're at the very, very top most of the time, first in the league. So that's his job, and he does a great job with it. Sometimes you give different looks. Maybe we go back to different things, but it's just something that he sees to try to exploit in the restart situations.
Jim, would love to hear from you about Jack McGlynn's freedom. It seems like if you look at his heat map after the game, you will see that he was just about everywhere. Was that by design in terms of breaking down the press, or really the man marking?
Yeah, I think it was a tough night for Jack, I thought. Part of that is they maybe adjusted and adapted. Maybe we asked him to, and we put in his mind too much to be close to Kai to help defensively. But I don't think it was his sharpest night. I think if you guys picture his best games this year, even in wins or losses, he was on the ball all the time, over and over, and he's spraying balls and he's playing through balls. And for whatever reason, it's partly on the rest of the group, it's partly on me, and it's partly on Jack. He wasn't on the ball as much in dangerous areas tonight. I think you're right. He was all over the place. But we like to know where he, it's better for us if he's, getting the ball right in that pocket. Kai's maybe a little advanced. He's getting on the ball, and now the back line has to drop because he has such a great final pass to make. And tonight it was like he was receiving balls with a guy up his back, or a guy where he's twisting and trying to turn out of a tight spot, or a flick. and that's not really his best qualities, and I think we didn't use that as best as we could tonight. So you could disagree and think he had one of his better games, but I thought it was a tough night for him.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think on the other side, someone who had a great night on the other side of the ball was Alonso Coelho. Was he someone that you guys prepared for in terms of what he does in man marking and really, playing center back at one point, center defensive mid, connecting the entire game for them?
Yeah, they're a good team, and you can tell they have some belief and fluidity in their group where guys aren't just always in the same spot, and they threw the same thing. It was what we expected. We knew that once you go cross midfield, they take risk. They're brave with their defending, and they have buy-in from their coach, which is clear, right? You can see that by Bernardeschi tracking back at the end of a game as a wing back and making a block or whatever it might be. So they worked really hard. It's tough to break down. Missing a piece or two in the attack or that little bit of something extra that would unlock it we didn't have tonight. And we'll try to look at the tape and get better. But they certainly have a good team too, and that's the thing. Everybody gets paid to win, try to win the games, and we're running into some tough moments right now. Some teams are playing well against us. We know at home not getting 3 points is unacceptable. Does not feel like we haven't been beaten in 3 games. It feels like the last 2 are losses. And that's just the reality of things.
Last question up front here.
Can you tell us a bit more detail about what happened with Julian and what's his availability for Saturday?
Yeah, so look, yesterday at training, we do a little transition exercise, and he took a knock in Charlotte on his foot. Said it was fine. Got through the first part of training. He mentioned to me, he said, "Look, it's hurting." I said, "Can you get through?" I said, "If not, just step out and rest. And tomorrow's the most important thing." He pushed through the entire training session. I thought everything was fine. He woke up this morning, got a text, and we texted back and forth, and it just wasn't feeling right. So he stepped out. I know, obviously, timing-wise, it looks, you guys read all the transfer rumors and that kind of stuff, but no, Julian has a real knock on that ankle. So I'd tell you the truth, trust me, because if he was gone, I'd tell you that too. There's nothing for me to lie about, but he's still our player, at least till the rest of the year. The hope is he's fine for Saturday. We'll see. He'll get treatment. Hopefully he responds well to the treatment. He was in getting treatment early today, and talked with him then. It's not bad, but didn't feel good enough to go tonight. So hopefully it'll go Saturday.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.